out in the darkness. Thus, in Anga Kupa, his suffering is just like that of a creature in the lower species. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hari Hari. Hare
Hare Rama,
Ram, Hare
Hare Rama,
Ram, Ram
Rama
Ram,
Rama.
Hare Hare.
Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. From this very instructive verse, we learn that lower animals, created by the laws of nature to disturb the human being, are not subjected to punishment because the human being has developed consciousness. However, he cannot do anything against the principles of the Varnashram Dharma without being condemned. Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita 4:13, Chaturvanyam Maya Srishnam Guna Karma Vivagasa. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by me. Thus, all men should be divided into four classes: Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, and they should act according to their ordained regulations. They cannot deviate from their prescribed rules and regulations. One of these states, one of these states that they should never trouble any animal, even those that disturb human beings. Although a tiger is not sinful, if he attacks another animal and eats its flesh, if a man with developed consciousness does so, he must be punished. In other words, the human being who does not use his developed consciousness, but instead acts like an animal, surely undergoes punishment in many different hells. Text number 18, Canto 5, Chapter 26, text number 18. A person is considered no better than a crow if, after receiving some food, he does not divide it among guests, old men and children, but simply eats it himself, or if he eats it without performing the five kinds of sacrifices. After death, he is put into the most abominable hell known as Krimvi Bhojana. In that hell is a lake 100,000 yojanas, or 800,000 miles wide, and filled with worms. He becomes a worm in that lake and feeds on the other worms there, who also feed on him. Wow, that's terrible. Unless he atoned for his actions before his death, such a sinful man remains in the hellish lake of Krimni Bhojana for as many years as there are yojanas in the width of the lake. It's terrible. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 3.13, Yagya Tisnasana Santo Vichyante Sarakubasai Punjate Te Tradam Papa Ya Pachanti Atma Karanat. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is first offered for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment rarely eat only sin and and uh, rarely eat only sin. All food is given to us by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Eko bhavanam yo vidadati kamam. The Lord supplies everyone with the necessities of life. Therefore, we should acknowledge his mercy by performing yajna, sacrifice. This is the duty of everyone. Indeed, the sole purpose of life is to perform yajna. According to Krishna, Bhagavad Gita 3.9, Yajnarta karmanon yatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartam kama konteya muktasanga samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to the material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in that way, you will always remain unattached and free from bondage. If we do not perform yajna and distribute prasada to others, our lives are condemned. Only after performing yajna and distributing the prasada to all dependents, children, brahmanas, and old men, should one eat. However, one who cooks only for himself or his family is condemned, along with everyone he feeds. After death, he is put into the hell known as Krimi Bhojana. You should definitely distribute prashadam
Mm.
to avoid being suffered. Text 19. My dear king, a person who, in the absence of an emergency, robs a brahmana, or indeed anyone else, of his gems and gold, is put into hell, a hell known as Sundamana, Sundamansa. Yeah. There, his skin is torn and separated by red hot iron balls and tongs. In this way, his entire body is cut to pieces. Wow. A man or woman who indulges in sexual intercourse with an unworthy member of the opposite sex is punished after death by the assistance of Yamaraj in the hell known as Taptasurvi. There, such men and women are beaten with whips. The man is forced to embrace a red hot iron form of a woman, and the woman is forced to embrace a similar form of a man. Such is the punishment for illicit sex. Wow.
So we obviously the body that they're talking about. So there is a temporary body that is given in order for the punishment, right? Because the current body that we have, we're leaving it here. But after death, in order for all these punishments to go through, we're temporarily given a body, and then again we'll feel as if we are. So,
Obviously, it's not a body that dies.
yeah.
And it's suffering continually.
Hmm.
Unbelievable. Very difficult to understand this, but this is the truth. Generally, a man should not have sexual relations with any woman other than his wife. According to Vedic principles, the wife of another man is considered one's mother, and sexual relations are strictly forbidden with one's mother, sister, and daughter. If one indulges in illicit sexual relations with another man's wife, that activity is considered identical with having sex with one's mother. This act is most sinful. The same principles holds for a woman also, if she enjoys sex with a man other than her husband. The act is tantamount to having sexual relations with their father or son. Illicit sex life is always forbidden, and any man or woman who indulges in it is punished in the manner described in this verse. Terrible. Text 21. A person who indulges in sex indiscriminately, even with animals, is taken after death to the hell known as Vajra Kantaka, Salmani,
Salman. Salman.
In this hell, there is a silk cotton tree full of thorns as strong as thunderbolts. The agents of Yamaraj hang the sinful man on that tree and pull him down forcibly so that the thorns very severely tear his body. Oh my God. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The sexual urge is so strong that sometimes a man indulges in sexual relations with a cow, or a woman indulges in sexual relations with a dog. Such men and women are put into the hell known as Vajrakantaka, Salmali. The Krishna consciousness movement forbids illicit sex. From the description of these verses, we can understand what is extremely sinful act illicit sex is. Sometimes people disbelieve these descriptions of hell, but whether one believes or not, everything must be carried out by the laws of nature, which no one can avoid. Text 22. A person who is born into a responsible family, such as a Kshatriya, a member of royalty, or a government servant, but who neglects to execute his prescribed duties according to religious principles, and who thus becomes degraded, falls down at the time of death into the river of hell known as Vaitarani. This river, which is a moat surrounding hell, is full of ferocious aquatic animals. When a sinful man is thrown into the river Vaitarani, the aquatic animals there immediately begin to eat him. But because of his extremely sinful life, he does not leave his body. He constantly remembers his sinful activities and suffers terribly in that river, which is full of stool, urine, pus, blood, hair, nails, bones, marrow, flesh, and fat. Well, this is the best warning to people who engage in illicit sex. Their destiny is to suffer in unimaginable misery. Text 23. The shameless husbands of low-born Sudra women live exactly like animals, and therefore they have no good behavior, cleanliness, or regulated life. After death, such persons are thrown into the hell called Puyoda, where they are put into an old ocean filled with pus, stool, urine, mucus, saliva, and similar things. Sudras who could not improve themselves, they fall into that ocean and are forced to eat those disgusting things. Purports by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung, Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Kevala Vishira Banda, Amrita Baliya Yeva Kaya. Nana Yoni Sada Kure, Kadarya Bakshana Kare, Tara Janma Ada Pate Yaya. 1 second. He says that persons following the paths of karma kanda and jnana kanda, fruitive activities, and speculative thinking, are missing the opportunities for human birth and gliding down into the cycle of birth and death. Thus, there is always the chance that he may be put into the Puyoda Naraka, the hell named, sorry, uh, the hell named Puyoda, where one is forced to eat stool, urine, pus, mucus, saliva, and other abominable things. It is significant that this verse is spoken especially about Sudras. If one is born a Sudra, he must continually return to the ocean of Puyoda to eat horrible things. Thus, even a born Sudra is expected to become a Brahmin. That is the meaning of human life. Everyone should improve himself. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.13, Chaturanya Maya Susvam, Gunakarma Vibhagasa. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, 4 divisions of human society were created by me. Even if one is by qualification a Sudra, he must try to improve his position and become a Brahmana. No one should try to check a person, no matter what his present position is, from coming to the platform of a Brahmana or a Vaishnava. Actually, one must come to the platform of a Vaishnava. Then he automatically becomes a Brahmana. This can be done only if the Krishna consciousness movement is spread, for we are trying to elevate everyone to the platform of Vaishnava. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 1866, Sarvadharma Parityaja Mahamekam Saranamrita. Abandon all other duties and simply surrender unto me. One must give up the occupational duties of a Sudra, Kshatriya, or Vaishya and adopt the occupational duties of a Vaishnava, which include the activities of a Brahmana. Krishna explains this in Bhagavad Gita 9:32. Mam hi parthavya pasritya tipi syu papayonaya. Striya vaisas tata sutras tipi antiparam gatim. O son of Prita, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, or merchants, as well as Sudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. Human life is specifically meant for going back home, back to Godhead. That facility should be given to everyone, whether one be a Sudra, a Vaishya, a woman, or a Kshatriya. This is the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement. However, if one is satisfied to remain a Sudra, he must suffer as described in this verse. Tad evati bi bam bam bamatsitam asnati. Text 24. If in this life a man of the higher classes, Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, is very fond of taking his pet dogs, mules, or asses into the forest to hunt and kill animals unnecessarily, he is placed after death into the hell known as Pranaroda. They are the assistants of Yamaraj that make him their dark targets and pierce him with arrows. Well, this is a warning to all the hunters. They go and kill innocent animals. Yeah, the hunters often have these very high-powered guns, and they shoot rabbits. It's like horrible. The rabbits are so scared they just stop and don't move, and then they're slaughtered. When the rabbit feels like he's in danger, he just stops, and the guns, the big guns of hunters kill these little innocent rabbits. It's terrible. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the Western countries, especially, aristocrats keep dogs and horses to hunt animals in the forest. Whether in the West or the East, aristocratic men in the Kali Yuga adopt the fashion of going to the forest and unnecessarily killing animals. Men of the higher classes, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, should cultivate knowledge of Brahman, and they should also give the Sudras a chance to come to that platform. If instead they indulge in hunting, they are punished as described in this verse. Not only are they pierced with arrows by the agents of Yamaraj, but they are also put into the ocean of pus, urine, and stool described in the previous verse. Hare Krishna, God forbid. Text 25. A person who in this life is proud of his eminent position and who, one second, heedlessly sacrifices animals simply for material prestige. Yeah, that's like hunters that, they kill a deer, a big deer, a buck deer, and then they stuff it and put it in their house so people can see this deer that's been stuffed, and it's a what you would call a mark uh, of a hunter who has killed a big deer. Such people are going to suffer terribly. Let's hear what it says. A person who in this life is proud of his eminent position and who needlessly sacrifices animals simply for material prestige is put into hell called Visasana after death. There, the assistants of Yamaraja kill him after giving him unlimited pain. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita 6.41, Krishna says, Suchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Prasta Vijayate. Because of his previous connection with Bhakti Yoga, a man is born into a prestigious family of Brahmanas or aristocrats. Having taken such a birth, one should utilize it to perfect Bhakti Yoga. However, due to bad association, one often forgets that his prestigious position has been given to him by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he misuses it by performing various kinds of so-called yagas like Kali Puja or Durga Puja, in which poor animals are sacrificed. How such a person is punished is described herein. The word Damba Yagnesu in this verse is significant. If one violates the Vedic instructions while performing yajna and simply makes a show of sacrifice for the purpose of killing animals, he is punishable after death. In Calcutta, there are many slaughterhouses where animal flesh is sold that has supposedly been offered in sacrifice before the goddess Kali. The Shastras enjoin that one can sacrifice a small goat before the goddess Kali once a month. Nowhere is it said that one can maintain a slaughterhouse in the name of temple worship and daily kill animals unnecessarily. Those who do so receive the punishments described herein. Well, all the butchers are condemned here, and they're not performing any sacrifices. They're just killing and eating. Text 26. If a foolish member of the twice-born classes, Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, forces his wife to drink his semen out of a lusty desire to keep her under control, he is put after death into the hell known as Lala Baksha. There, he is thrown into the flowing river of semen, which he is forced to drink. Oh, God. Yeah, there are men that force their wife or force women to drink their semen. The practice of forcing one's wife to drink one's own semen is a black art practiced by extremely lusty persons. Those who practice this very abominable activity say that if a wife is forced to drink her husband's semen, she remains very faithful to him. Generally, only low class men engage in this black art. But if a man born in a higher class does so, after death he is put into the hell known as Lalabaksha. There he is immersed in the river known as Supra Nadi and forced to drink semen. Oh my God. Text 27. In this world, some persons are professional plunderers who set fire to others' houses or administer poison to them. Also, members of the royalty or government officials sometimes plunder mercantile men by forcing them to pay income tax and by other methods. After death, such demons are put into the hell known as Sarmayadana. On that planet, there are 720 dogs with teeth as strong as thunderbolts. Under the orders of the agents of Yamaraj, these dogs voraciously devour such sinful men. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that in this age of Kali, everyone will be extremely disturbed by three kinds of tribulation: scarcity of rain, famine, and heavy taxation by the government. Because human beings are becoming more and more sinful, there will be a scarcity of rain, and naturally, no food grains will be produced. On the plea of relieving and suffering caused by the ensuing famine, the government will impose heavy taxes, especially on the wealthy mercantile community. In this verse, the members of such a government are described as dasyu, thieves. Their main activity will be to plunder the wealth of the people, whether a highway robber or a government cheat, thief. Such a man will be punished in his next life by being thrown into the hell known as Saravvedana, where he will suffer greatly from the bites of ferocious dogs. Uh, well, all the abusive taxers, that's their destiny, to be eaten by ferocious dogs. Okay, text 28. A person who in this life bears false witness or lies while transacting business or giving charity is severely punished after death by the agents of Yamaraj. Such a sinful man is taken to the top of a mountain 800 miles high and thrown headfirst into the hell known as Abhijimat. This hell has no shelter and is made of strong stone, resembling the waves of water. There is no water there, however, and thus it is called Avichimat, waterless. Although the sinful man is repeatedly thrown from the mountain and his body broken to tiny pieces, he still does not die, but continuously suffers chastisement. That is definitely hell. Text 29. Any Brahmin or Brahmana's wife who drinks liquor is taken by the agents of Yamaraja to the hell known as Ayapana. This hell also awaits any Kshatriya, Vaishya, or person under a vow who who in illusion drinks somarasa. In Ayapana, the agents of Yamaraj stand on their chests and pour hot, melted iron into their mouths. I can't even imagine that. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. One should not be a Brahmana in name only and engage in all kinds of sinful activities, especially drinking liquor. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas must behave according to the principles of their order. If they fall down to the level of Sudras and who are accustomed to drink liquor, they will be punished as described herein. Text 30. A lowborn and abominable person who in this life becomes falsely proud, thinking I am great, and who thus fails to show proper respect to one more elevated than he by birth, austerity, education, behavior, caste, or spiritual order, is like a dead man, even in this lifetime. And after death, he is thrown headfirst into the hell known as Kshara Kardama. There he must suffer great tribulation at the hands of the agents of Yamaraj. Purport. One should not become falsely proud. One must be respectful toward a person who is more elevated than he by birth, education, behavior, caste, or spiritual order. If one does not show respect to such highly elevated persons, but indulges in false pride, he receives punishment in Kshara Kardama. Text 31. There are men and women in this world who sacrifice human beings to Bhairava or Bhadrakali and then eat their victims' flesh. Those who perform such sacrifices are taken after death to the abode of Yamaraja, where their victims, having taken the form of Rakshasas, cut them to pieces with sharpened swords, just as in this world the man-eaters drank their victims' blood, dancing and singing in jubilation. Their victims now enjoy drinking the blood of the sacrifices and celebrating in the same way. Well, this is a warning to all butchers who exactly do this, like kill animals and eat them. Text 32. In this life, some people give shelter to animals and birds that come to them for protection in the village or forest. And after making them believe that they will be protected, such people pierce them with lances or threads and play with them like toys, giving them great pain. After death, such people are brought by the assistance of Yamaraja to the hell known as Dula Prota, where their bodies are pierced with sharp needle-like lances. They suffer from hunger and thirst, and sharp-beaked birds such as vultures and herons come at them from all sides to tear at their bodies. Tortured and suffering, they can then remember the sinful activities they committed in the past. Oh, yeah, for very sinful people, there's no death. There is constant suffering. Text 33. Those who in this life are like envious serpents, always angry and giving pain to other living entities, fall after death into the hell known as Danda Sukha. My dear king, in this hell there are serpents with 5 or 7 hoods. These serpents eat such sinful persons, just as snakes eat mice. Text 34. Those who in this life can find other living entities in dark wells, granaries, or mountain caves are put after death into the hell known as Avata Nirodhana. There they themselves are punished into dark wells, where poisonous fumes and smoke suffocate them, and they suffer very severely. Text 35. A householder who receives guests or visitors with cruel glances, as if to burn them to ashes, is put into the hell called Paryavartana, where he is gazed at by hard-eyed vultures, herons, crows, and similar birds, which suddenly swoop down and pluck out his eyes with great force. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. These are different places. These are different types of creatures that are in the hellish planets. Purport. According to the Vedic etiquette, even an enemy who comes to a householder's home should be received in such a gentle way that he forgets that he has come to the home of an enemy. A guest who comes to one's home should be received very politely. If he is unwanted, the householder should not stare at him with blinking eye. For one who does so will be put into the hell known as Paryavartana. After death, and there are many ferocious birds like vultures, crows, and cockness will suddenly come upon him and pluck out his eyes. Text 36. 30. One who in this world or this life is very proud of his wealth always thinks, I am so rich. Who can equal me? His vision is twisted, and he is always afraid that someone will take his wealth. Indeed, he even suspects his superiors. His face and heart dry up at the thought of losing his wealth, and therefore he always looks like a wretched fiend, fiend. He is not in any way able to obtain actual happiness, and he does not know what it is to be free from anxiety. Well, when you don't have money, you're you're suffering. When you have a lot of money, you're afraid that someone will come and take it away. And both ways you suffer. His face and heart dry up at the thought of losing his wealth, and therefore he always looks like a wretched fiend. He is not in any way able to obtain actual happiness, and he does not know what it is to be free from anxiety because of the sinful things he does to earn money, augment his wealth, and protect it. He is put into the hell called Sachi Moka, where the officials of Yamaraj punish him by stitching thread through his entire body, like weavers and manufacturing cloth. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When one possesses more wealth than necessary, ah, multimillionaires, please hear this. This is very important for you. One possesses more wealth than necessary. He certainly becomes very proud. This is the situation of men in modern civilization. According to the Vedic culture, Brahmanas do not possess anything, whereas Kshatriyas possess riches, but only for performing sacrifices and other noble activities as prescribed in the Vedic injunctions. A Vaishya also earns money honestly through agriculture, cow protection, and some trade. If a Sudra gets money, however, he will spend it lavishly, without discrimination, or simply accumulate it for no purpose. Because in this age, there are no qualified Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, or Vaishyas. Amongst everyone is a Sudra. Almost everyone is a Sudra. Kalo Sudra Sambhava. Therefore, the Sudra mentality is causing great harm to modern civilization. A Sudra does not know how to use money to render transcendental loving service. A Sudra gets money, however, and he will spend it lavishly, without discrimination, or simply accumulates it for no purpose, because in this age there are no qualified Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, or Vaishyas. Almost everyone is a Sudra, Kalo Sudra Sambhava. Therefore, the Sudra mentality is causing great harm to modern civilization. A Sudra does not know how to use money to render transcendental loving service to the Lord. Money is also called Lakshmi, and Lakshmi is always engaged in the service of Narayana. Whenever there is money, it must be engaged in the service of Lord Narayana. Everyone should use his money to spread the great transcendental movement of Krishna consciousness. If one does not spend money for this purpose, but accumulates more than necessary, he will certainly become proud of the money he illegally possesses. The money actually belongs to Krishna. who says in Bhagavad Gita 5:29, Bhaktaram Yagatapasam Sarvalokam Maheshwaram. I am the true enjoyer of sacrifices and penances, and I am the owner of all the planets. Therefore, nothing belongs to anyone but Krishna. One who possesses more money than he needs should spend it for Krishna, unless one does so. Unless one does so, he will become puffed up because of his false possessions, and therefore he will be punished in the next life as described herein. So we should use excess money in the service of Krishna. Text 37. My dear king, Parikshit, in the provinces of Yamaraja, there are hundreds and thousands of hellish planets. The impious people I have mentioned, and also those I have not mentioned, must all enter these various planets according to the degree of their impiety. Those who are pious, however, according to either, I'm sorry, those who are pious, however, enter other planetary systems, namely the planets of the demigods. Nevertheless, both the pious and impious are again brought to earth after the results of their pious or impious acts are exhausted. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This corresponds to the beginning of Lord Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita. Tatha Devantara Prapti. Within this material world, one is simply meant to change from one body to another in different planetary systems. Urdhvam Gachanti Sattva. Those in the mode of goodness are elevated to the heaven. Adho Gachanti Tamasa. Similarly, those too engrossed in ignorance enter the hellish planet, this planetary system. Both of them, however, are subjected to the repetition of birth and death. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that even one who is very pious returns to earth after his enjoyment in the higher planetary systems is over. Kshine punye martya lokam visanti. Therefore, going from one planet to another does not solve the problems of life. The problems of life will only be solved when we no longer have to accept a material body. This can be possible if one simply becomes Krishna conscious. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvata takvadeham punarjanma naitimam eti so arjana. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in the material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. This is the perfection of life and the real solution to life's problems. We should not be eager to go to the higher heavenly planetary systems, nor should we act in such a way that we have to go to the hellish planets. The complete purpose of this material world will be fulfilled when we resume our spiritual identities and go back home, back to Godhead. The very simple method for doing this is prescribed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarvadharmam Prityaja Mamekam Saranam Raja. One should be neither pious nor impious. One should be a devotee and surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna. This surrendering process is also very easy. Even a child can perform it. Man manabhava man bhakto man yajimam namaskuru. One must always simply think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
One should become Krishna's devotee, worship him, and offer obeisances to him. Thus, one should engage all the activities of life in the service of Lord Krishna. Text 38. In the beginning, the second and third cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, I have already described how one can progress on the path of liberation in the Purana, the vast universal existence, which is like an egg divided into 14 parts, is described. This vast form is considered the external body of the Lord, created by his energy and quality. It is generally called the Virata Rupa. If one reads the description of this external form of the Lord with great faith, or if one hears about it or explains it to others to propagate Bhagavata Dharma or Krishna consciousness, his faith and devotion in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, will gradually increase. Although developing this consciousness is very difficult, by this process one can purify himself and gradually come to an awareness of the supreme absolute truth. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Krishna consciousness movement is pushing forward the publication of Srimad Bhagavatam, as explained, especially for the understanding of the modern civilized man, to awaken him to his original consciousness. Without this consciousness, one melts into complete darkness. Whether one goes to the upper planetary systems or the hellish planetary systems, he simply wastes his time. Therefore, one should hear of the universal position of the Virata from form of the Lord as described in Srimad Bhagavatam that will help one save himself from material conditional life and gradually elevate him to the path of liberation so that he can go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, my dear devotees, I think we'll stop right there. And I pray that all of you go back to Godhead in this lifetime by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and by engaging in all kinds of Krishna conscious activity, especially eating very nice prasadam and giving prasadam to many, many other, let's say, forlorn personalities who are suffering due to ignorance. So thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments that you would like to make? Any questions or comments? Oh, this is almost the end of this book. We'll finish it tomorrow. Any
Yes, Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
words of Prabhupada? Okay.
Yes. Maharaj, you were talking about meat eating and the different planets of hell that one goes through for consumption of alcohol, meat, and all the different kinds of sinful activities. So for a butcher, that's his livelihood. So how does that work for someone whose profession is to cut and sell meat? Can you please explain that? Thank you.
Yes, they go to hell. They suffer terribly for unnecessarily killing animals and eating them. That's their destiny. There's no way they can get out by killing animals and eating them. Now, the butcher doesn't necessarily kill the animal. The animal is killed already, but it's delivered to the butcher, and then he cuts the animal, the body of the animal up, and sells it and eats it also himself, and sells it to other people. So, in every step of uh, killing the animal, delivering the cut up parts of the animal, eating the animal, driving the animal, the dead animal to be eaten. All those people suffer terribly for the sinful activity that they're performing. So, whenever you see a butcher and other people involved in killing animals and driving out the dead carcasses and selling them, eating them, all of them suffer terribly. And one should not associate with any people like this. Otherwise, we will unnecessarily suffer and be tortured when we die for all the animals that we have eaten and tortured while we were living. So, what was your question again, Mataji?
Yes, Maharaj. My question was that it's a life of it's a profession for a butcher. So how does he give that up?
How,
For any butcher, yes.
how does he give it up?
Yes, because that's his livelihood. There is nothing else he knows to do, apparently.
Well, uh, if the butcher is fortunate enough to meet devotees and hear from devotees, he'll change uh, his livelihood, his work that he's doing, from being a butcher to being a, let's say, salesman that sells, uh, let's say, uh, um, okay, that sells uh, uh, what's called um, a, a person who sells properties, for example. He's not killing any animals. He's only selling properties. So has to change his livelihood from killing animals to selling houses, for example, or to becoming a agent that sells houses to people. He has to change his way of making money from horrible uh, uh, killing animals to much less uh, sinful activities, such as selling houses or uh, being a person that takes people on vacations or any other type of non-killing, uh, uh, you know, profession. So he could be a dentist. He could be a person who sells houses. So there's no severe karma for those type of activities. So he's got to change. In other words, he's got to change his livelihood from one that is miserable and sinful, such as being a butcher, to one who sells houses or renovates houses or is on the stock market, etc.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes. One second. Wait, let me just say one thing more. Uh, it says here the Krishna consciousness movement is pushing forward the publication of Srimad Bhagavatam, as explained especially for the understanding of the modern civilized man, to awaken him to his original consciousness. Without this consciousness, one melts into complete darkness. Whether one goes to the upper planetary systems or the hellish planetary systems, he simply wastes his time. Therefore, one should hear of the universal position of the Virata form of the Lord as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. That will help one save himself from material conditional life and gradually elevate him to the path of liberation so that he can go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Okay, go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Maharaj, now modern life, the pharmaceutical industries, food industries, they substitute a lot of animal content in the form of without knowing to the people. For example, after coming to Krishna conscious, I came to know that in the vitamin tablets, gelatin is used heavily. Otherwise, we were not known earlier. This is one example. Something like that. Even in the cheese, also they mix something. A lot of people not even aware, and they're consuming this particular, especially all the indirectly the products of animal. How to overcome? Even they also will be suffered because they don't know. Because in modern world they are mixing food adulteration in such a way nobody knows, and they will be feed in a different way, giving with a modern name, and they actually market and they sell it. It's all done by the big corporate uh, in their banner and in their in a different way. What is the impact, Maharaj, in that case? Because this is the corporate, not one person or one team is doing. It's a big corporates are doing. Whether that means to say all the company who are involved, they will be involved. How that have a karmic reaction in that case?
Well, you have to, number one, learn to read the uh, uh, the labels on whatever you buy. And if you can't see exactly what are the ingredients, then you should call the company that is selling that product and ask them what are the ingredients. Sometimes they don't fully list the ingredients in the products that they're selling. So you have to research to make sure you're not eating any products that have meat, fish, eggs, or anything like that in them. Or the best thing is have a farm, grow vegetables, and eat only vegetables. Like I have a farm, we have tons of vegetables right now. You should come to the farm and buy some. Now you know that there's no meat involved, there are no sinful things involved in the farm grown vegetables. If you buy it on the open market, you never know if it is bona fide or not bona fide. Because today there's so many tricks and so many uh, ways that the commercial companies are marketing forbidden things that one should never eat. Sometimes they don't even put the names of all the things that they put in their products. So the best thing is come to the farm in Sammamish or in Redmond and look at the fresh vegetables that are growing there and pick them and eat them. That way you know exactly what you're eating and you know exactly that there is no sinful, what you would call sinful uh, things in what you're eating. Eating fresh vegetables is the best way to live. But even eating, let's say, foods that have been uh, in what do you call that? Manipulated by the big companies. You don't really know what you're eating. Uh, Sometimes they don't even put all the ingredients on their labels. So you don't really know if you're eating something that's edible or not edible. The best thing is to grow your own vegetables or go to a farmer like Uncle Harry and eat vegetables from his farm. Right now, we still have a lot of vegetables at the farm. They're growing really nicely this year. So you can come and pick them, and that way you know exactly what you're eating. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, we should have many farms. Devotees should have many, many farms to supply fresh milk and fresh vegetables to the devotees. You should support devotee farms to help them stay in business and to keep supplying what you would say uh, pure food that is not corrupted by modern, let's say, uh, modern country companies that put all kinds of un uh, all kinds of things in their foods and sell them. When you go directly to the farm and pick the food yourself, pick the vegetables yourself, now you know for sure what it is and uh, whether it is edible or not edible. Like right now at our farm in Redmond, we have plenty of vegetables. They're growing and they're very, very, let's say, uh, full of vitamins and minerals. They're grown in our farm. The earth that we have in our farm is full of vitamins and minerals, and you're getting real food that is not being in any way uh, contaminated. Do you buy things from the farm, Prabhu?
Yes, Maharaj. Whenever they come to temple and when they sell, we buy it, Maharaj.
You can also go to the farm and buy it.
Yeah. Whenever we go, we buy it. But yeah, we need to. The issue is only we get on certain time, Maharaj. If after the winter we will not get it, at that time what to do, Maharaj?
Well, previously people would also uh, get the you know fresh vegetables and other things, and then can them. If you learn how to can, then you'll have vegetables all year round.
Can
Veg-
means I didn't follow, Maharaj. We can put it in the fridge or.
that's also a way of doing it. Yeah, you can also
But
freeze
yeah,
it.
in the fridge, we can keep only for 10-15 days, Maharaj. Afterward, the vegetables are not fresh.
They can
Uh,
be dried. They can be dry, sun dried. You can sun dry vegetables That way you can keep them for months.
There's,
You
I
see,
think,
you have to learn how to do these things. You can sun dry vegetables, and they can be kept for up to a year. And the sun is is working now very well. So you can buy a whole bunch of vegetables and sun dry them, and eat them all winter long. And now is the best time because the farmers have plenty of vegetables now. Even in our farm, there's plenty of vegetables, so you can come and eat them and also sun dry them and keep them and eat them all winter long. When you have a farm, you can do things like that. We have a farm, so you should support our farm and prepare sun dried vegetables that can be kept for a year. There's also canning. You can can food. That's what people used to do. They used to go and buy vegetables from the farmers and then can them. So if you come to the farm and you can buy extra vegetables and then you can dry them, you have these. Uh, there are different ways to dry food. You can buy a food dryer. They're not expensive, and you can dry the food, the vegetables and other things, and you can keep them for almost a year, or all through winter. Eat dried vegetables from the farm in the wintertime. The people used to do that. They used to go buy fresh vegetables and can them or dry the fruit. Okay, my dear devotees, I think we'll stop right there, and I think we'll have a, a seance of how to dry your food and keep it all winter long and eat it all winter long. You go to the farm and you buy a lot of the vegetables and you dry them, and you can eat that all winter long. Uh, Once they're dried, you can keep them, and then when you're going to eat them, you put them in water, and and then you can cook the vegetables, the dried vegetables. But now you put water on them, and they become soft again, and then you cook it and you eat it. So you preserve it by drying the food, and they have food dryers. They're not expensive. You can buy a food dryer, bring in buy the vegetables, dry the vegetables. It's very quick. It's like it would only take about not even one day in the dryer, and then you have it enough for the whole winter. And then you put the dry food, you put some water on it, and it becomes fresh again. And then you cook it and you eat it. People were doing that, previously. They would buy fresh vegetables, dry them, in a dryer. Those dryers are not expensive at all, and they would, and then when they want to eat it, they put some water on that food, on that dried food, and then they cook it and they eat it.
So the dried vegetables can be kept outside. Should it be kept inside the refrigerator or freezer?
No, you don't put it in the freezer.
Okay, you can just leave it outside.
Yeah, well, and yeah, you don't want it exposed to the elements.
Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously.
If you dry it correctly, you can keep it for a year. I mean, yeah, for a whole year you can keep it if it's dried nicely. And you have these dryers; they're not expensive. Maybe 10, maybe 15, 20, $30. You can buy a food dryer. Buy your fresh vegetables, dry them, and then eat them gradually. And when you want to eat them, you put them in some water, and then you cook it and you eat it. We should learn about how to preserve foods without chemicals, of course. Just drying it. You get a food dryer; they're not expensive, and vegetables, and then you can eat them all winter long.
Maharaj, when you dry the fruit of vegetables, we will not lose the vitamins or something.
No, no. I mean, you might lose something, but not everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You should do an experiment. Go buy some fresh vegetables, buy a dryer, food dryer, and dry the vegetables.
Yeah.
You'll see
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah.
it's not expensive. A food dryer is not expensive. And that way you'll have vegetables all through the winter. Now is the time to buy vegetables to eat or to dry and have all winter long. That way you don't have to eat Tex-Mex food all winter long from Mexico. That's why we have a farm. See, this farm can produce, I mean, there's 10 acres. We can use at least 6 acres for growing. If we work to, make our farm even more productive, we could produce enough food for everyone in the community. And then learn how to dry your food. And that way you don't have to buy anything in the wintertime. We have a farm that's 6 acres of food production at the farm. And if we use, I mean, right now we're only producing on 1 acre, but if we produced on the 6 acres, there'd be enough for the whole community, right? And then you learn how to dry the food, either in the sun in the summertime, or have food dryers and dry the food. That way, you're not preserving it with any chemicals or anything like that. And then when you're ready to eat it, you just add water, and then you cook it and eat it. That's what people used to do previously. They didn't even need to have refrigerators. They had dry food, dried vegetables, dried, apples, this and that. And they would have food all winter long. And they would buy in the peak of the summer the nice vegetables and fruits, put them in the food dryer, and then preserve them all winter long and eat them. This is the time to buy fresh vegetables from the farm and then get a simple food dryer and dry the excess vegetables and fruits. Okay, I think we'll have to stop right now. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.